in the dark, recognized that she had taken away the chest, and soon set in wandering around, found the body of Osiris, and this time he says, I will get rid of truth once and for all. I will mutilate it. And we are told that Set then proceeded to chop up the body of Osiris into 14 pieces and threw it away into the ocean, into the river. All right. Now, because truth, divinity, right, righteousness, justice, order, divine form, and purpose can never be completely destroyed, that ought to be the end of the story. But it ain't. All right. They tell us that Isis, still persistent, resilient, determined, continuing to do what she must do, persevering, went out and found all of the pieces except the phallus that was swallowed up by 2 or 3 fish that got together, and that's another story too. And then we are told that with the words from Thoth, she was able to restore her dead husband to life. And we are told that Osiris was resurrected from the dead and ascended into heaven and became the judge of the quick and the dead. Now, that's mythology. That's real mythology. Now, if my hypothesis is correct, and if in fact the ancients were talking about that time, prior time, and subsequent time, we should be able to find in this myth, which persisted for over 6,000 years in various forms, you see, people could not have believed that story so long, so well, so intently, unless it hooked into something that was universally present in all of them, that they were able to react to, gravitate to, and feel within it a certain degree of validity, power, and veracity. So we are told then that the people believed this story for many, many years, and it was told in many ways and in many forms, but the basic content was the same. Now, we believe that our people were telling us something about today. We believe that those who preceded us, who understood the greatness of the reality of this life and understood the transcendence beyond time and space, were able to understand something about 1985 in Dallas, in you, tonight and tomorrow. Now, what do we have here? Well, we have a picture of a group of people who went to a party about 400 years ago. And at the party, we are told that they were tricked and locked into the bottom of a ship. Call it a chest, whatever. We are told that they went to this party and someone said that this is a way that you can practice true freedom. This is a way that you can find greater growth. This is a way that you can find greater discovery. This is a place where there are great riches and great opportunity to be free. So just come with us, and we can take you there. And the co-conspirators from England and from Portugal and from all over the place that is now called Europe all got together, all 72 of them, and permitted the poor Osiris, the one who brought civilization to the world, the one who brought religion to the world, the one who brought science to the world, the one who brought all the great things we know to the world, and nailed him into the bottom of the ship and dropped him into the river, call it the Niger River or whatever river, and floated it towards the sea and set it afloat. Now, we understand that this Osirian body from this place were somehow put into a situation of where they went floating down the river, floating to the sea, and eventually finding themselves caught in a mighty tree which somehow trapped the chest and grew up around them. What is this? Well, it seems that these Osirian object, found itself caught up in the house of a king in a strange land. Now, who is the king? Let's try George for a change. King George. And it was a mighty house. And he took the tree that contained the chest, that contained the origin, the mind of the universal contributor to man and to life, and used it as the main pillar in his house. Now, we now have this situation of where we have brought Osiris from a level of high accomplishment, tricked him into imprisonment, transposed him across the sea, caught him in the tree, and locked him into a house. Now, what do we have? We now need an Isis. Who is Isis? Is there an Isis? Well, if the myth is correct, Isis ought to be there somewhere. Sure enough, we find Isis coming. Isis comes in the form of Marcus Garvey. Isis comes in the form of Elijah Muhammad. Isis comes in the form of Noble Drew Ali. And they begin to search out, seek out, where is the coffin of Osiris? Where is the one who has been slain? Where is he who has been destroyed? He doesn't know who he is because he's dead. He's unconscious. He's been somehow killed by being tricked out of his own native reality and his own consciousness. So what do we have here? We have the fact that these people who represented the perseverance, the determination, the resilience of the African soul, seeking itself out in the form of teaching and bringing to the people those things that would begin to revive their lives. We're going to come back to that. But first we've got to deal with Set. Because Set was operating in opposition to the life that was established for Osiris. Who was Set? Set represented the personification of evil. Set represented the personification of destruction. Set represented the personification of a force whose objective was to destroy the divine life that was in Osiris. So once the body had been kidnapped and had floated away, Set should have been satisfied. They'd been robbed, taken away. Life had been taken from him. But because Set was aware of the persistence within that divine life, then Set found it necessary to declare war on that life that could possibly not be dead. So, Set then had to engage in a form of mutilation. It was not enough that the body had been kidnapped, robbed out of its culture, robbed out of its source of consciousness, but it instead had to be put into a situation of where the body was cut up into pieces. What are some of the pieces? We find that when Set refound the body, there was a mutilation. He cut up the family, began to sever the family connection. He began, as the sister was dealing with earlier, to break up the natural alliance between male and female. He began to teach that there was natural enmity between male and female. He began to breed a sense of the war between the sexes. He began to make it seem that one was either male or female and never the twain should meet. He began to feed in ideas that made it very difficult for males and females to work together and raise families together. He began to destroy the concept of a family that went beyond just a nuclear relationship and a family that transcended the ties of simply a male or female and their blood children. He began to break up that extended notion of family which eventually brought together the entirety of the community. A concept of family that said that grandmama and aunt and uncle and brothers and sisters and cousins